Stop scrolling right now. You are looking at the Chinese Communist Party throwing an unprecedented, massive military parade for an American president. And the reason they are doing it changes everything. Wait, did you catch the sheer scale of that reception? Just look at the massive military honor guard and the hundreds of people lined up specifically to cheer for President Trump as he lands in Beijing. You rarely see the Chinese Communist Party go out of their way to throw a red carpet celebration like this for an American leader. They are rolling out the absolute highest level of state honors. This isn't just about being polite. This is a massive geopolitical signal. Beijing is essentially acknowledging that the global power dynamic has shifted, and they are treating Trump with an unprecedented level of respect. When you bring the top CEOs in the world with you, including guys like Elon Musk and Tim Cook, you aren't just making a diplomatic visit. You are bringing the full weight of the American economic engine right to their doorstep. China knows their own economy is starting to show serious cracks, especially with their main oil suppliers getting choked out. This entire grand spectacle is their way of laying the groundwork to negotiate, because they desperately need American business to keep their system afloat.
He needs to intervene at all with the Iranians?
I don't
Do you
think
think he
does,
can help
no.
in any way?
No, I don't think we need any help with Iran. We'll win it one way or the other. We'll win it peacefully or otherwise.
Listen closely to the absolute confidence in his voice right here. When asked if he needs China's help to intervene with Iran, Trump doesn't even hesitate. He completely shuts down the idea that the United States has to rely on anyone else to handle the regime. He just flatly says, "We don't need any help. We'll win it one way or the other." For decades, the political establishment has tried to convince everyone that we have to make endless concessions to foreign powers just to keep the peace in the Middle East. But Trump is completely flipping that old script. He is making it undeniably clear that the U.S. is operating from a position of absolute, unshakable strength. By publicly stating they will win it peacefully or otherwise, he is sending a direct, chilling ultimatum straight to Tehran. There is no ambiguity. It completely strips away the regime's leverage because they now know the U.S. isn't desperately begging for a diplomatic off-ramp. When a leader speaks with that kind of unapologetic certainty, it completely changes how the rest of the world calculates their next move against us.
Showing Karg Island, get this, is now closed. Yes, Iran's main oil export hub, the site that handles 90+% of their exports, has been closed for 5 straight days. Satellite photos showing the terminals completely empty.
You really need to pay attention to these satellite images because this is the smoking gun the media isn't talking about. What you are looking at is Karg Island, which is essentially the absolute beating heart of the Iranian economy. This single terminal handles over 90% of their entire crude oil exports. And for the first time since the conflict began, it is a complete ghost town. There are literally 19 massive oil tankers just sitting out there in the water, totally empty, with absolutely nothing loading. The Treasury Department isn't just handing out sanctions on paper anymore. The U.S. military has established a blockade so tight that it is completely suffocating the regime's ability to generate revenue. Some intel even suggests they are so desperate and the infrastructure is so damaged that they might be intentionally dumping oil directly into the sea just to prevent a catastrophic total shutdown of their production facilities. When a nation's primary economic engine goes completely offline for 5 straight days, you aren't just looking at a minor setback. You are looking at the total systemic collapse of a regime running out of time.
We're going to have a long talk about it. I think he's been
relatively good, to be honest with you. You look at the blockade, no problem. They get a lot of their oil from that area. We've had no problem, and he's been a friend of mine. He's been somebody that we get along with. And I continue to see that.
Check out how casually he dismisses the global panic right here. Everyone in Washington and Wall Street has been absolutely hyperventilating about the naval blockade and how it was going to destroy the global economy. But the president just brushes it off, saying, no problem. He is pointing out that despite shutting down one of the most critical energy corridors on the planet, the U.S. has maintained total control of the situation. And then look at how he transitions right into talking about the Chinese leadership. He refers to Xi Jinping as a friend and teases that good things are going to happen. It is an incredibly strategic flex. He is basically telling the world that while Iran is being completely suffocated by the blockade, the United States is about to secure massive economic victories with China. It completely isolates the Iranian regime. They thought they could use their oil as a weapon to force the international community to back down. But Trump is proving that the U.S. economy is entirely insulated. He is casually orchestrating a masterclass in applying maximum pressure without firing a single shot.
Joe Biden is visiting China, and he just stepped out of Air Force Two. Joe Biden the U.S. Vice President has just arrived in Beijing Capital International Airport. Biden is visiting Japan, China, and South Korea, and China is the second leg.
Now, I want you to compare that massive blockbuster reception we just saw to this footage right here. This is how the previous administration was greeted when they landed in Beijing. Look at the stark contrast. Joe Biden steps off the plane and there is almost zero fanfare. It is quiet, it is subdued, and frankly, it looks incredibly weak on the global stage. There are no massive crowds cheering, no military honor guards rolling out the red carpet, and definitely no top-tier CEOs flanking him. It is just a standard, entirely forgettable, bureaucratic arrival. In international diplomacy, optics are absolutely everything. The way a host country receives you directly reflects how much power and leverage they believe you actually hold. When you look at how the Chinese Communist Party treated the previous administration versus how they are currently rolling out the absolute highest state honors for Trump, the difference is completely undeniable. It proves that foreign adversaries only respect one thing: unapologetic strength. When you project weakness, they treat you like an afterthought. When you project dominance, they literally line the streets to applaud you.
We have a plan to escalate if necessary. We have a plan to retrograde if necessary. We have a plan to shift assets. Certainly in this setting, we wouldn't reveal what the next step may be, considering the gravity of the mission that the president is undertaking to ensure that Iran never has a nuclear bomb.
Look at the intensity of this moment on Capitol Hill. You have military officials openly confirming that the Pentagon is actively preparing massive escalation plans. They aren't just talking about playing defense anymore. They are completely restructuring their strategy to ensure the regime never even gets close to acquiring a nuclear weapon. They have officially dubbed the next phase Operation Sledgehammer, which tells you absolutely everything you need to know about what is coming next. The military has spent the last few months quietly doubling their firepower in the region. They now have significantly more capability ready to strike than they did at the very beginning of the conflict. By openly discussing these escalation options in a congressional hearing, they are sending a massive psychological blow directly to the Iranian leadership. It is a calculated warning shot. The administration is letting them know that the 60-day congressional clock can be reset at any moment, and the United States has the full authorization and the overwhelming military assets to completely level their nuclear ambitions. The window for a peaceful resolution is slamming shut, and the military is fully prepared to act.
bomb.
They are absolutely feeling that pressure, not just from the blockade, as the Secretary talked about, but the continuation of sanctions that Treasury and others have put on there, and we retain a range of military options.
Listen to the general lay down the absolute reality of the situation right here. He is testifying under oath that the Iranian regime is absolutely feeling the crushing weight of the U.S. pressure campaign. This isn't just political spin. This is the highest level of the military confirming that the combination of the naval blockade and the relentless Treasury sanctions are completely breaking the back of the adversary. For years, critics have claimed that sanctions never actually work and that blockades only provoke more violence. But the military data is proving the exact opposite. By methodically cutting off their financial lifelines and restricting their military options, the United States has essentially trapped the regime in a corner. The general makes it a point to emphasize that the U.S. still retains a full range of military options, meaning they haven't even taken the gloves off yet. It is a brilliant display of strategic patience. They are letting the economic suffocation do the heavy lifting, while keeping the ultimate threat of a kinetic strike hovering right over their heads. The regime is completely paralyzed, and the Pentagon knows exactly what they are doing.
In Iran is to, quote, achieve a complete market monopoly in logistics and energy. This is actually interesting, mostly because
this is where the entire geopolitical chessboard completely flips, so stay with me. Chinese state media recently interviewed a sanctioned Russian think tank, and they accidentally said the quiet part out loud. They are claiming that the massive U.S. conflict with Iran isn't actually about nuclear weapons at all. Instead, they believe the ultimate end game is to force a massive global market shakeout. The theory is that the U.S. is strategically choking out these sanctioned countries to completely monopolize the international energy and logistics sectors. Think about it. First, they squeezed Venezuela. Now they are completely dismantling Iran, and the big players are swooping in to absorb all the mid-tier competition. Whether you believe that theory or not, the most important takeaway is that the Chinese government actually believes it. Beijing is terrified that the United States is permanently rewiring the entire global energy flow to secure total economic dominance. That is exactly why they are currently rolling out the red carpet in Beijing. They know that if the U.S. successfully monopolizes the market, China's economy will be entirely at the mercy of American energy policies. If you want the raw, unfiltered truth about what is actually happening on the global stage, hit that subscribe button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.